Thanks to Hecate for sitting down with us and talking a little bit how to play Leon. One of the better champions right now, so hopefully you're taking some notes. Of course, our second matchup of the day, I'm still on the desk. Joining me to break things down is none other than Gore Miser himself. Gore, how was casting that first matchup? It was a fun one.
It was good. It was actually a lot more close, I guess, than I thought it was going to be. And that's like the one thing I always look forward to when those two teams meet up is just Aerial Arise is a solid team. And it's just, I like watching them grow and take a little more off Flashpoint every single time.
It was definitely a little closer than they have been in the past. Of course, looking to our second matchup of the day. Another #1 team in Cyclone is in action today.
Yeah.
And they've sort of been in a similar spot to Flashpoint. They've dropped a couple more maps, but they've been playing against Bustdown, who've been playing really, really well. But 3 and 4 in this region, of course, they're going against Radiant today. Can't imagine them struggling too much against this lineup. Welsh Mania, of course, on the side of Cyclone, he's been playing really well and shown sort of a willingness to branch out from some of the more standard picks. Of course, we saw Sky in this case. Of course, Khan here as well. What does he mean to this team?
Well, I just want to throw this out there. How many people do you know will have clips on Sky and then clips on Khan, right? Like that's the thing I think that is the most important thing to highlight here is that flexibility, that ability for Cyclone to play pretty much whatever they want, whenever they want. And I think that's something they have across their entire team is being able to just say, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and grab X, we're going to grab Y, and then whoever wants to play it's going to play it. We're going to look good doing it. We've, like you said, they've dropped a couple more maps, but I don't think they've dropped a set yet, and that's the thing I think that's kind of going for them. They've just been on top of the world.
They've been on top and constantly improving, and this is another one of those teams where I think a win this week really confirms them for MSI. I think there was some crazy math equation that had to happen where they maybe wouldn't make it. Let's look at Radiant, though. Gore, they're the ones going up against Cyclone today, hoping to play Spoiler in this case. Scarcity, another Sky clip. So this region showing us that they might want to bring out some Sky here and there. What do Radiant need to do today in order to maybe just take a map off of Cyclone?
Honestly, I think it's going to be somewhat draft-wise. I think they could probably find a map on some of their best. I mean, last week we got to see them, they would go up against Viral. And there were, well, the first two maps, if you take out of that set, they were very, very solid. And that's kind of where I think they need to look at. Like, their Jack Falls is a very good map. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go there. But then you have to play the draft very well because you've seen, obviously, Scarcity playing the Sky on this map here. We've seen Welsh play that. We've seen a lot of members of Cyclone kind of prioritize that. So you have to be careful in every single draft you go into because I think there's going to be a lot of overlap in champions.
Yeah.
And Scarcity is actually kind of an interesting player to me because if I remember correctly, a while ago, he used to be playing under the name Potent. And in my mind, Potent was always like a sniper that I would remember seeing on Frog Isle, was always really solid to be able to come through. Cyclone actually banned out the Frog Isle, so probably not going to see that.
Definitely not going to see that in this case. But you're very right, though. Radiant they've been trending upwards. I mean, at least going off of the last couple of weeks. I mean, they've had a tough road up to this point, but are playing largely better than what we've seen. I mean, an improvement over, a really bad start is still an improvement nonetheless. So it might be hard to beat Cyclone full-blown today, but just looking better is kind of one thing that I've mentioned. Just having some improvement going into MSI. You're not going to make it, but maybe going into split number 2 of the season, just looking a little better, a little more improved. I think will be a win for some of these other teams. Pretty standard bans, Torvald, Vivian, Imani, and Talus, and the Genos priority continues.
And admittedly, I don't think we're going to see that change for a while. And I said this during the last set, but I think it's very important here. Genos being such a high priority kind of hurts console a little bit because not as many teams have a second, third, fourth really solid support, right? Yeah. Most of these teams will go towards Saris, which I have personal issues with mainly because I feel like she does what she does okay.
Yeah.
She has really fun ult if you hit it. She has really good heals. If you're not getting cauterized, then you can get it onto the people that you need to. It's just spread out. It doesn't do as much for the team as you're going to see out of a Genos or a Maldamba, which is, I think, the other place where some teams need to pick up.
Well, you're going to get your Saris on the side of Cyclone this time, but if there's a team I think that can make this
it look
work,
good, it'll be here.
It would be Cyclone. Answering back with Tyra as well, that's sort of what we've seen. Oh, the Pip comes out. That's not something we've really seen too much of. What are your thoughts about Pip in this case?
This, to me, makes Radiant seem like they've been doing homework. It's one of those things, Genos is going to do some healing, right? Yeah. And numbers-wise, he's not going to keep up with Saris. It's the Luminary boost that makes him so much stronger. Pip is going to equalize those numbers, help keep Barrick and Atlas alive.
Yeah.
And Pip just does a lot of damage on his own. Like in a 1v1 against Victor, 1v1 against Tyra, he's going to win. And when it comes down to killing off front lines, he's one of the best.
And he'll need to be one of the best in this case if they want to have a chance of beating Cyclone. Of course, another #1 team in action here, and Cyclone going up against Radiant. Map #1 about to get underway, but first, let's hear from your casters.
Thanks, Dave and Gore. Time to get in. Radiant Pretty Hair here for the cast. Cyclone Radiant, obviously a Pip in play. One of those question marks on console, but could be fun.
I love the guys that can do it. You know, there is a couple of concerns I have going into the MSI, especially around the lack of like projectile characters, and there's just not a lot of diversity there in the drafts. There hasn't been a lot that's changed in console drafts over the years, and with the PC meta evolving as fast as it has this year, I want to see these guys get a little bit more creative, a little bit more experimental, maybe look at a couple things in a new light.
You mean Moji? See, whenever anyone says get a little crazy, get experimental, there's only one champion that comes to mind, and it's the Moj.
Not in so many words.
Little temporal divide here from Hayam Tapsi, looking to get that wide shield, and a Catalyst Pip, indeed, with a Luminary. That's always dangerous. Lapidopoulos running the Victor and trying to continue to perform well with his team. They've got a great setup here. Very, very strong lineup, and grouping with the Seraseals. Already a wall shutting off Sheik from any angles.
Yeah, and it's going to shut down. You could see that Victor grenade, the second one anyway, coming in to try and get some more poke damage. That's where a lot of Victors look to make a big impact and hitting that 4 or 5 man grenade over the top of the rope here. Cyclone will find first blood, back off, big heal on the Fanatics, 2 for the money. Make it 3.
And that's just a Tyra Victor just like buffet. You've got grenade splash damage, you've got a firebomb, everyone's a little low, can't really be aggressive against you. You're just out to hunt. And for characters that like finding damage like that, it was just too easy for Cyclone to wrap it up. 66%, not sure they can get back, but they've allowed Barrick to get very, very close. Rocket Boots will at least tag the overtime.
Yeah, but he's sitting in a firebomb there. That's tough stuff there. Barely makes it out. Killing spree for Welshmania. 5 streak overall. Overtime started and likely to end in favor of Cyclone.
Early lead for them. Fluffy getting out of there. Hunter's mark on him, though. They know exactly where he's going to be. And gets a little bit of extra damage for his troubles. Luke too good. Actually not doing too good right now for his squad. And no fault of his. Just a really tough matchup here when Cyclone have the momentum.
Yeah, they have 2 of the, well, really 3 if you want to throw Khan in that mix. 3 of those like mid-range AR, gun you down type of characters. Radiant Esports, we haven't really seen like what their comp has been, set up and what it's drawn up to do. It hasn't had a real leg to stand on in any of these fights so far. And part of that is you could absolutely take the stance of, well, that's because the comp's not good enough to find a leg to stand on. And there would certainly be merit to that argument, but everybody's got pros and cons. Just about trying to play to your strengths as often as possible.
Absolutely. 1 minute, 40 seconds. Convergence about to be lined up, and Cyclone could use that. May not need it, though. Haven't seen too many of those behind you. I guess he didn't realize it. Seems like a ton of damage was coming from that. It might be the Pip on rotation, still alive, and trying to go and contest the point. That's not going to be too easy for Scarcity. A Convergence just to seal the deal onto him. Look too good yet again. Isolated. I'm sure a firebomb will be coming soon. Oh, just the Commander's grab to throw him out of the way. Rocket Boot's not going to save his life.
Being able to safely run Hunting Party is such a benefit for, I feel like, these frontliners. They can really get in there and do some good damage, especially on a character like Khan, who, with good tracking, can already pump out a lot of heat. You could see a more concerted dive to the back line. Radiant Esports coming to the realization that Slopodopoulos and Welshmania are big, big problems for them.
And Slop has not been dealt with. Welsh at least died. But Slop on that 14 streak, that's scary.
Temporal Divide on this map is a little bit questionable for me, given that console really does like to start up on the high ground, especially when you're looking at a Shrapnel Victor. They love that nice little grouping. So if you're and I think your base stasis field is really big enough to kind of get the job done there. You throw it on the door, you go in first, get your movement speed, and if you can hit a nice AoE setback onto 3, maybe 4 people, because they are all kind of grouped up, hoping you're going to be grouped up as well, that gives you almost free control of that room. And then Radiant Esports, I feel like, may be able to make better use of their composition, but getting map control against the 3,000-4,000 DPS Victor, Tyra, and Connor putting out is just tough.
Yeah, I mean, I think the value is definitely already found with the original shield, but that's the choice, and we're continuing to get some more research evidence to kind of help dictate whether we feel it truly is a stronger or lesser talent. And overall, it just seems like dealer's choice on that one, especially depending on the map as well. 81% though, Radiant Esports taking very good advantage of the comeback mechanic, and they're going to keep this one interesting. As no contest really from Cyclone. What went wrong?
Yeah, not even a ton of ultimates there. You could see a contest down on the objective. Pretty much right into the dome shield didn't exactly work out. Cyclone knew, or excuse me, Radiant knew they had the comeback mechanic. They could play around that, and they really just hard committed onto the objective. There wasn't a strong enough commitment onto the high ground like there was in round one, and Cyclone just were not able to win that fight in time.
Or at all. Yeah, not at all. I mean, now 50% of the way, almost pushed through. Really curious where Cyclone have ended up. Nice convergence there onto the barrage. Beautiful stuff from Cyclone. Great use of those two ultimates, which have been one of the better pairings, I think, for that convergence in general, since it's so much setup, but rarely ever followed up to its max potential. Getting 3, fully setting it down, cost you 2 ultimates, but that's the stabilization that Cyclone needed.
Big old wall comes out here just to buy some time. 1:33 now on the clock. Now that the dust has settled a little bit, ultimates aren't flying quite as frequently. Cyclone starting to get their foothold, starting to look like themselves again, and this will be very telling. You look at these comeback mechanic rounds sometimes, and you say this team that just dominated in the first round has to be on the defense now, has to be on the back foot. Heavy quotation marks of back foot here, as Overpower will miss. That might be an opportunity to get something done.
And what a big old wall that was. Stanatics. However, what? Oh my God, the exile to save him. Oh my goodness gracious. That was interesting there.
I'm sorry, officer. I didn't know I couldn't do that.
I didn't know I couldn't do that. Well, get out of here. Get on. Get the heck out of here.
Bro.
Don't do it again.
Yeah. We talk about Atlas. You control your teammates sometimes. You can do something that helps an enemy rather than hurts them. And case in point.
Wow. I mean, I think he thought, let's keep him there. But didn't realize that then the damage would pass on through. That's the thing about being exiled. Where do they go? We don't really know, but we just know that they're not able to take damage.
Not here.
Yeah.
Not here. Fanatics goes down. King's on the back foot, just continuing to pump healing out. It's a simple life for Aceris out here. Tyra without Khan is going to have to give up the high ground, so Atlas and Leon will have an opportunity to kind of push this back. Tyra had to drop, now Khan's back, so he won't have as much damage backing him up as he once did.
I mean, nice turnaround. I mean, for sure. Smutney gets full heal. Sarah still has a convergence. I think they're trying to save resources. At the end of the day, they do have to realize this is a point for them. So as this overtime gets a little bit more contested, they've got to find kills, or it would be valuable to use something, and they're gonna offer the barrage in sacrifice. I think that's gonna result in that point for them, and I think it's a smart call.
The great point you make is that it is, you're right, worth a point, and with how fast Slop can get these Victor barrages charged, it's a great call there for sure. Already back to 11% with a couple of seconds available. He hits a couple of these big grenades later on in the game. It's a very great resource to spend. Good Victors, and there it was. Welsh Mania saved by the bell, so to speak. As Victors, you know, find effectiveness, they get these 2 or 3 times around, so not a big deal they spend there.
And actually lives. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
Icing on the cake.
Even gets dove. Yeah, not too much of a sacrifice for a point. People have sacrificed more to get the job done. And Cyclone here looking to get the job done in set number 2 of the day. If you're just joining us for the PCL, every Monday, Paladins console league action. Some of the best battling it out right now. 15% for Radiant Esports. Luke is too good. A nice barricade onto the point. Slop turns into a chicken, but now he's got Welsh Mania to support him, and this is going to force an early heal. Moxie isn't enough to keep him alive, and now the crossfire comes out.
That is big damage on the barrack so far. No dome shield available. That was just used. He pushes that barrack into the con. That's a good little area to retreat to, or so he thought. Comeback mechanic still enabled for Radiant, but right now Cyclone are in control.
And this is the type of control that they want. Pip able to just kind of waltz into the back line. Maybe could have gone for a couple of early catalyst shots before that moment. Seems like he missed the window while she was walking up the stairs. Switch targets, and Lucas Too Good will fall. actually will take down Smutney. 89% for Radiant.
Big flank coming out here from Fanatics, though. He gets one on his way to the objective to stop the bleeding. 97% with comeback mechanic is dangerous territory to be in. Scarcity trying to hang on. Fanatics still very healthy. And a nice little lead, about 40% or so, grabbed by Inara before she did fall.
And you can tell a lot of just damage potential. And here's the Atlas. He's got to make something happen. It's going to be a second chance, but he's in a bad position. 99 to 97%. People got to dive now, but Fanatics, what a power spot he's in. High ground. He's got everyone in the barrage. Convergence. Well, how about that for a triple kill? Slopadopoulos. Nothing sloppy about that one.
That'll do, Pig. Nothing. That was all on screen. You don't really need my help in understanding why that way it went. But why?
But why did they die?
What did it cost?
Slop gets 4 in that, too. He picks up the last one on the Luke. Really, I mean, showing what the Barrage Convergence combo can do in a proper team.
Yeah, Convergence can be very, very scary, especially in those hectic scenarios where you are having to burn, shields, defensives, mobility options to not get out of the way of the Convergence. It's already gone. It's already down. What a combo.
Well, if you ever want to end a team fight, you just saw how to do it. Send it back to the desk for some analysis on how they actually accomplish the task.
Easy. He got a quadra kill on Victor. So if you want to end a team fight, just hit 3 men.
Close the books. We're good. Done here.
We're
just
done.
Go ahead and leave.
Why do you even need us anymore at this point? No, the takeaway is that Cyclone are really good, and Slopadopoulos is really good at Paladins as well.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was going to say that originally, and then he did that at the very end. So it was one of those moments that he just doubled down on everything. I will give a shout-out Sheik to the 84k damage that was able to come through. Very, very solidly on, unfortunately, for the 2 and 5. And Scarcity, I like that Radiant were willing to pull out the pip.
Show it, yep.
It's just unfortunate that they had to do it against Cyclone, right? I feel like any other team, that would have been a very awesome pick, but Cyclone just knew how to handle it.
Yeah, I mean, a 15-2 Victor is unfortunate.
That'll also help.
That's going to be detrimental to any champion that you pick. Sheik having a good game. I mean, it's a 4-1, but it seemed like, yeah, that's
just silver platter. Here's the entire thing. If Kings didn't get that first kill onto Scarcity, that's a Penta.
Almost, and then he finishes off this final one here for the 4th in the fight, rampaging, going into the final point fight of that one. 4-1 there for Cyclone. I mean, again, obviously a 4-1, but I think Radiant looked good. I mean, that's about as good looking of a 4-1 as you can hope for if you're on the 1 side of things. I mean, that could have been a lot sloppier, a lot Slopadopoulos-ier if you were on the Radiant side.
I appreciate that you went for it. That was one of those moments where it's
better in my head.
I'm gonna go for this, and it's gonna be difficult because Slopadopoulos is already hard to say.
We had the map screen, but you could really see the gears turning in my eyes. I was like, one eye was twitching. It sounded a lot better in my head. Yeah, well, it sounded a lot better in my head.
I like that phrase though.
Slopadopoulos.
I think it's good. Either way, but that's that moment where it very much is you're on a 1-4, and admittedly, that's more than I expect out of for any region in a 1 versus 3 matchup.
With the way the ones are,
pretty much usually going to be 4-0, 4-0, 4-0. So having that come in and be a 4-1, and the way Radiant looked through it, some of those moments, you look at that last team fight, went very heavily in favor of Cyclone, but you were able to take some significant moments off of them.
And it all came down to one barrage that hit 3 and then cleaning up 4.
One convergence just goes, okay, everyone get here, and then barrage comes down.
Right. So, I mean, and it was a 99 to 99 point fight. So Radiant went out swinging in that one.
I feel like when we have someone who doesn't have a laptop or a notebook here, we should get little action figures because I've noticed me and Nick do it all the time. We draw on the desk, and I just want to have little army figures to showcase the point fight.
That's perfect. We should get Paladins figurines and just
there we go.
Just reenact the team fights up here.
I'd be sitting here playing with Drogos. I wouldn't be paying attention to the game.
Coming down.
Have a barrage and Drogos.
Little firecrackers for barrage. You put a firecracker in the middle.
But then they break. I've seen Toy Story. That's going to be mean.
Radiant broke in that last team fight. I think a few firecrackers onto some action figures would pretty accurately depict what we just saw in that last team fight. Cyclone get Genos this time. Remember, Radiant had Genos in the last game. Cyclone entered back with the Tyra, but Genos going the way of Cyclone as well as Barrack Amani. Inara, Atlas, Victor, Saris, though, to Radiant. That's not a lineup that you can really scoff at. And they go the Pip as well.
They're picking up on the side of Radiant some of the strong champions. The same reason I thought their last draft was really good. The issue again, just comes down to how well can you make it click. I think Victor is going to bring things together a little neater overall. Drogoz, I think, is going to bring things actually heavily into their favor because there's no hit scan really on the side of Cyclone other than Genos to take him down. Barrett can hit some of the shots, and Monty more than likely will be able to hit him in the air. But Pip, that matchup should theoretically go towards Radiant. It just depends on how they happen to play.
Well, it's going to be exciting to watch because we saw some signs of a good Pip game in the last game, unfortunately, on the Radiant side. Now we get to see a Pip on a more dominating team.
Anything you can do,
Cyclone.
I can do better.
Well, that's exactly what they'll look to do. They'll look to do it better this time, and if they play like they did last game, that's exactly what's going to happen. Game 2 is underway here. Cyclone up 1-0 on the set. Can they make it 2-0? Send it to your casters to find out.
Well, could be another sweeps week. There was a little spider in here. What do you say, Nick?
On the hunt.
This guy deserved to grow into a huge spider and eventually kill us all. I'm going to let him pass.
All right. Mercy here in the booth today. We'll see if there's any mercy.
It has to be a world of mercy.
How do you know?
How do you know? They don't get to decide.
I get to choose.
I get to choose. Okay, you're bad. You're a bad one.
3, 2.
Oh boy.
Jinx, you owe me a
Coke.
I don't drink Coke.
Yeah. Well, better get on it.
I snorted. What?
Welcome to the console league.
Bit of a flip-flop here, though, from Cyclone's draft.
In many ways.
In all seriousness, it feels like they had a, little rocket blast there from Pip. Takes himself backwards, but they have the double projectile this time. I like the Drogoz pick from Radiant for sure, but he needs to be that guy. He needs to take it, realize I've got this advantage here. Nobody's going to be a great answer for me. I need to use that.
And I like Danitix's mentality there. He sees the 3 champions running at him, and he says, no, that's not going to work out. I need a shoulder bash out of here immediately. Not even going to try to put up a fight. Smutty's in trouble. He's trying to walk around, but he's used his rocket boots there, and he's used it again, and it feels like he used it again. Amazing kind of maneuvers there from the Barrack, but that's what he brings to the table. Radiant Esports, again, off to a nice start here, and a much closer matchup, much more contested than set 1 from the beginning. Sheik found already 3 kills in this game.
Yeah, Ash needs to handle this. This is a problem for them. He has been, I think, the only one killing anyone and killing everyone at that. A lot of damage pouring out from this Victor. 90%. Barrage is already charged. Smutty doing his job, but nothing to do but get out of the way of the barrage. There it is. Themtix gets to the back line and deals with the problem.
And I will say, hitting good shots, Smutty is keeping the pressure on Inara, and now she has to force the wall up because she has obviously gone into her Earthen Guard and received some of that healing already. The Dragon comes out. The Dome Shield comes out. Kings doing laps around everybody and finally get some healing off, but it is a little too late for Cyclone.
And an Evil Mojo to deal with Atlas. Amani got taken out in the back line. Big salvo, tons of damage there. Boy Grip up will be good enough. Good. He's in trouble. Big heal from Saris, and away he goes.
But I think it might be too late here. She's going to jump up and go down, and actually a decent spot. She's got the high ground. No one can damage her. She's got zone potential now. Oh, and Welsh and Scarcity trade out. Seismic Crash as well. Doesn't quite get Kings, and Smutny still rocket bootsing around. Will he be able to make it out of this one?
Big thing here is Victor. Can he get back online in this fight? Ash ult already used. Overtime, you can see it just wants to expire so bad. Let me out of this fresh hell of resets after resets after resets. 3 minutes on this first point fight. Second round of ultimates coming to be available here shortly as Barrage is at 83%.
And it's because of this double healer that's just keeping everyone alive. And then the Saris and Nara combo finally. Fanatix gets into the back line, and CycloneGG, after 3 minutes and 30 seconds of round 1, capture the first point.
What a war, but you're right. Having double healer in that instance, covered with the burst, a little bit of throughput from Genos. I think when strategy goes out the window and it's just overtime is going to expire any second now, everyone's operating on pretty much full instinct there, and in those types of scenarios, it's when you have damage reduction or healing or just more health, like those little unseen advantages really start to come into play.
Obviously, Saris doing a great job of keeping Inara tanky. Cauterize will mitigate some of that as it starts to build up, and Danitix and the rest of his squad in a much-needed position of having 300 credits more for each member as a result of capturing the objective. And if Radiant can do the same next round, they will tie that up. Slopodopoulos on the Pip. Big question marks. He played well on the Victor, got that quadra kill we saw in the game.
Can we look at the net worth chart? I want to see where these front lines are sitting. Barrack specifically, after doing Barrack was there the whole time. There was a little bit of Atlas, a little bit of Inara split, but man, he was just chugging and chugging and chugging and collecting those dividends. He's about ready to retire after the first round.
Holy moly. So this man is very close to having Cauterize 3 already. Very, very incredible. I'm wondering if in the itemization, he has it. Never mind.
Wow.
He actually has Cauterize 3 in round 1.
4-minute Cauterize 3.
What the heck?
Whiz.
So
that'll happen. It's a little like when somebody else is contesting on the objective, you get more per tick.
You do.
Per champion on the objective contesting. So you can get to, like, if you make a private match and just have everyone jump on the objective, you're getting like, it's like 12 credits per like tick or something crazy like that. So one of the lesser known little mechanics, but something that leads to a big advantage here for Barrack in the first round.
Very, very big. And the resets, they were so valuable for him heading into what was one of the longer point fights you're ever going to see in Paladins. It can't get much longer than that, to be honest. And I think Welshmania and the rest of the crew know that they're happy to come out on top in the position. Cauterize 3 available, but not making enough of an impact for them to feel confident in their position. And it feels like Smutny now cornered out. Good barricade, though, and a big shot. Scarcity now forced back.
Has his Dragon Punch to fall back on Sheik, maybe a little bit. Got his chickens here. Thanatix is back. Setback. Did he get the touch? No, sir, he didn't.
And that's Atlas, man. Nice play. Really good awareness. It was a little late because he snuck by on the right side, realized, Barrack's the problem. Oh, wait, no. And Thanatix not able to touch. Got to play around now, not just your position, but being set back. You have to take that into account that it might just happen.
Sheik, a big problem at the start of that round, but maybe it was called out, figured out, complained about enough. Thanatix goes to the backline and starts to handle this issue before it can become a problem, and it never really does become a problem again, which was surprising to me because I'm looking at this 3-minute, 30-second, 4-minute now point fight, and I'm saying, man, he was a big problem at the start.
Right.
Something's got to change. He's got to get back in here. Thanatix with Cauterize 2 online now. He'll be in a better position to take it down, but Saris with 1,000 health per second, she's still going to be applying a pretty decent heal, even through Caught 2.
Fluffy trying to start a meta here, apparently, with Blast Shields, Haven, and Resilience. All picked up.
The Blue Ranger build.
The Blue Ranger build. Kind of a unique style. Not a lot of data on that one. But good setback.
Ooh. Right idea.
Yeah.
Back into the flag, and Thanatix is going to come out on top. Right idea. Just you just missed.
Yeah, just missed. And the problem, too, is with Shoulder Bash and Battering Ram, the way she's playing it, she can go immediately into that. If you use the setback to get her out of her ult, she can Shoulder Bash, be damage immune essentially, and get back into the general area of it. So you kind of have to choose, do I want to set back her Shoulder Bash, or do I want to set back her Assert Dominance? Again, very cerebral. We'll talk about it all the time. Atlas is involved. Scarcity on a 4th streak. Thanatix, I guess, tasked with taking him down, but it's not an easy task for him. Slobodopoulos still picks up Tapsy.
Well done. The Dome Shield's going to go down. Fire Spit doesn't connect, and Thanatix is continuing the Iron March here. Victor's up in his nice little perch. Not exactly a problem for the backline just yet. Scarcity, low HP, afraid to full commit to this.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think you have to choose your target, and I think it's right here. Salvo comes out a little late for how long he had him in his sights, because you want to get into those secondary rockets, that secondary version. And, you know, that's one I hate to see. Unfortunate, had a lot of opportunities, didn't really pick either, and then just lose the point by default.
Yeah, failure to execute. And we talked about the draft is half the battle. Even if you get a good one, you could go in a draft and fail to execute. You could get a we won't say bad, more convoluted draft at times. But if you are the superior team, it doesn't necessarily matter if you continue to execute on your mediocre plans well.
Exactly. And, you know, execution is what is going to set you apart here. Cyclone, they realize that, and Sheik has been a thorn in their side, hasn't he? Trying to run, but even he can't hide from the damage that Slobodopoulos is bringing. Killing the man who played Pip last round.
Yeah, you can see that Caught 3 starting to come into play, as well as Inara. Even with that lifeline attached to her, is not getting much healing in some instances. Shots need to connect here on the Dragon as it closes down, starts to get damage on the Atlas. Second chance will keep him alive.
Doesn't feel like he's using any of that tech we saw. Maybe it's impossible to do so. Went straight down Broad Street, and unfortunately was taken down.
That's big. Time and Space catches Victor out as well. Oh, the perfect pick, really.
Oh.
He's the biggest one that's going to be contesting there. Kings has done a phenomenal job at keeping a lid on Scarcity, realizing I'm one of the few hit scan threats we've got available here. I need to be a big part of putting pressure on this Dragon.
And I mean, getting two. I mean, need to carry more guys. Like,
yeah,
somebody needs to take him out to dinner. He definitely helped set that one up. And now Cyclone 1 point away from what was a game where 1 point took 4 minutes, essentially. The next 5 minutes, we've seen, you know, basically 3 more points, and now CycloneGG are in a position to go ahead and finish the game.
And grabbing that with just time and space. The Dragon was used, but it's already back to half-mast, if you will. Cyclones still have good ultimates to try and get this one through. Radiant Esports are in about the same type of spot as Cyclone are. They've just used their barrage, but that one's going to be up so quickly. Seismic Crash is there. Exile, I don't even think has been a factor this game.
No.
I don't think I've seen any convergences either.
Well, Cyclone here excited to be, again, in a power position in this draft. Dome Shield could have come out now. Maybe waiting. Wants to see what he's got. He's not in a dangerous position. That heal doesn't get as much value because of the cauterize application from Smutny, and now Luke is forced to just leave the room.
Offensive items getting close to being equal up, but then
that's huge.
He's just done his job so effectively, very quickly realizing what the problem was. Ultimate's in the back line. Not going to result in a kill. Slopodopolis goes down.
One shot would have taken down Fluffy. He really wants that kill. And at this point, line of sight isn't too good onto the Inara. There it is. Finally, Luke picks that one up. But again, Dome Shield ready, and he uses it at the perfect time. It's actually above the wall. I've never seen that.
Oh my God, look at that. Yeah.
The wall actually brought it up, and that might have actually done some damage to Luke. Not quite sure, but it does feel like Cyclone have this one in the bag.
Ooh.
And again,
Come on, bro.
failure to just even touch the point. That seemed like more of a lack of execution than anything.
Yeah, there was a couple moments there for sure. Maybe, and that tick rate can be tricky, but you do need to get the touch, I think, within 3 seconds of the point going into overtime, or else it's going to be like, they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
Well, let's just wrap this one up, boys.
Yeah, they definitely probably would have done that one again. Talking about regrets, they're going to have to just go and play better the next game. Let's send it back to the desk, get ready for game 3.
Still a little fight back in game number 2 from Radiant, but the result is still the same. Cyclone on top of game number 2. They're now 2 up in the set gore, and very similar storylines to game number 1, where there were moments where Radiant were able to kind of fight back a little bit, but Cyclone just too clean. Smutny, 94k damage in this one on the barrack. That's good for top damage in the game.
Top damage on a barrack. The next highest isn't even on his team. It actually jumps down
and it's a
to
Victor.
Sheik on Victor, and then you have Scarcity and Welsh kind of battling it out. I think Welsh was at 79, Scarcity at 77. But again, that's showcasing Radiant are doing things right. It is just that Cyclone are doing things better. Yep. And that's one of those things. I kept saying this with Flashpoint and Aerial Arise, where it's just Flashpoint are playing the game 2 steps ahead of you. Like, they don't necessarily know where you're going to go, but they're prepared for it already.
Right.
Like, they know exactly how they're going to react. And I think that's kind of what we saw here. And the one thing to note is if you ignore Pip and Amani, it's still 94,000 damage. Almost 95,000 from Barrack, of all people. Radiant, even I would say, like, Atlas is probably the next most capable of hitting that number.
Yeah.
And, like, he's nowhere nearby. Like, that's just 94,000 damage. I'm going to say that's about 50,000 more than you expected coming from Barrack.
And that it's kind of an unspoken thing. You see Genos picked up. In your head, you're like, okay, the Astral Mark is going to go over to Amani, go over to Pip the entire game. But going on to Barrack a good bit of time in those point fights, just really down in those trenches, some of that extra damage really, I think, jumps up and surprises you. In this case, it's good enough for top damage in the game. And Cyclone, they're looking really good. 4-1, 4-1, headed into Serpent Beach, map number 3. Maybe some flanks coming out on this map. We haven't seen a lot of flanks today, Gore. Obviously, we've seen some Sky highlights, things like that coming into this region, so maybe get to see something interesting. Serpent Beach is a map where teams kind of like to throw stuff like that out.
This would be a good map, and I always say this for console, and it never happens, but I know some teams have been willing to branch out into it. This is a good map for Eevee. This is always a good map for Eevee, although she doesn't get picked up on console that often. But it's anyone with high mobility. Maeve has actually been big on console in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if, especially if they've been watching the minor league, the Premier League, that starts to leak its way in here because of how potent she can be. But I think the biggest thing immediately on my mind is going to be where Genos goes and how he ends up in this game, because it's kind of like what you said. Like, you don't expect it on the barrack. You don't expect it on the front lines. And that's the scariest kind of damage. It's silent damage. It's just all of a sudden, oh, I took 30,000 more this game than I intended to. I took 40,000 more damage this game than I thought. Radiant are going to be the ones who get him.
And that's really been the story, I think, of today. Even in our first set is where does Genos go in the PPL, PML? It's sort of those frontliners. Genos still firmly in that conversation of first pick, second pick for the other team. Like, we take the Atlas or the Khan, you get the Genos over to the other side, but really it's been first pick Genos throughout most of the day today. Radiant's going to get it in this case. Cyclone have shown that they're able to fight back and win. It's not like a winning, an automatic win key. Yeah. Right, it's not the win button in this case. But they get Barrack and Leon on Radiant's side. Barrack had some sneaky damage with Genos last game.
And I think this is actually one of the more interesting things about console is just that there's so many different champions to ban out, right? Like, you have to get rid of Victor in some circumstances if you don't want to deal with it. Vivian comes in that vein usually. Talus is in that vein. Torvald is definitely in that vein. And so there's so much that's still left open afterward, where it's like your first, I'm going to say 4+ picks are some of the top picks no matter what. Like, Genos, Amani, Khan, Barrack are all incredible champions.
How do you feel about Cassie?
I always love Cassie. And I think in this lineup, I mean, you're on a good map for Cassie. You're in a good place to
even more ooh. That's a little extra ooh. I peeked too soon on my ooh.
Yeah, no, the ooh came too early. Cassie is going to be good against Kananara. Andrew is going to be good against Cassie.
Yep, that is a Cassie counter pick in this case.
I'm gonna come hunt you down.
Oh, I'm really excited. A team like Cyclone can make something like the Androxus look really good. One game away from taking our second set of the day here is Cyclone. Send it down to Evan and Nick. See how it plays out.
Thanks a lot, Dave. It's time to get ready for the game that could end it all. Cyclone, they've looked good, but can they finish this one off? We saw an Ascension Peak with Flashpoint had a little bit of a difficulty kind of getting that game under their control until the very end. Do you expect something here? Will the Andro kind of work out? Or
it depends, like Ascension Peak and even Splitstone Core to an extent. If those aren't maps being played in the console scene very often, and Ascension Peak is certainly one. There was an issue where there was like it wasn't being able to be picked for a long time. So if you're not comfortable on maps, that leads to those like big teams like struggling. But on like your mainstream maps, Serpent Beaches, Bright Marshes, Frog Isles, Jack Falls,
it's a great
I don't think you have much of those. Yeah, definitely. Slapodopoulos, an incredible player who has played very well this set. On top of the fact that he's already very talented, I think he'll be just fine here.
And good looking. And chills with the hottest dudes.
Yeah. Dope stuff there.
Dope stuff for him. I think CycloneGG have a all-star lineup when you look at the marquee champions in their roster. Radiant Esports, they've got some great ones too. But are they going to be able to perform with the Cassie first time here? I've always been a big fan of Cassie on console when I've played console. And obviously, we play on PC most of the time. You've played console quite a bit. But I really enjoy the feel of Cassie on it. It's one of those picks, though, that just doesn't really show up as much in this current meta for them.
Yeah, and it's almost like this conversation about Androxus with Slop. He's probably picked it because he likes it, and he thinks he can rock it. Emmett Payne picks Cassie probably because he likes it. He thinks he can do good work with it. So and he does, which is why I've always been like, well, when I watch him play, it looks damn good. I don't know why anybody else. And it's so easy to play on PC or. And when I say easy to play, I mean easy to like work into a comp. Like, it's very easy to pick that up because you know it's going to be pretty much plug and play. It can do a lot of stuff. It can blow up flanks. It can blow up tanks.
Yeah.
And it can just, in general, spank.
And if you hit every shot, just like Androxus, I mean, it's got some of the most potential out of a lot of different champions because it hits so hard and you have these natural things to give you burst mobility, get out of bad situations, and get into good ones to continue hitting all those shots. Right now, Slop hitting a lot more shots than I know Radiant Esports would like because he is hanging in the air, not getting too pressured. One of the benefits is that, because he's a moving airborne target, it's harder for people to hit him on console, but it's also harder for him to control that and hit other people.
Right, which is why it's going to work if he's comfortable on the pick because it's not something you play against very often, so you're not super used to playing against it, into it. What does it do? What are the tendencies? Whereas he's completely comfortable in being able to execute it, so he gets all the pros and none of the cons.
Yep, and they are dealing with a beast. When Androxus is let off the leash, He is one of the best to do it as far as snowballing a team fight in his team's favor. So hard to match. That's the Cassie. Scout will come out. Ziggs will see where everyone is at and provide that vision to Radiant Esports. But will vision be enough to stop this? It's already 90% of the way through.
A lot of people up on the high ground. Tapsy goes down. He was contesting the payload, so somebody had to move in place of it. And that's where things get a little bit spooky, because if you don't have a kill order or a hit order in that way of like who's dropping onto the payload once Ash goes down, then everybody drops onto the payload and everybody's in trouble.
Not even close here. I mean, at this point, you talked about Androxus and the Cassie counter pick, a little bit of BM there, knowing the round would end and wouldn't actually use the ult. But the Andro is making it even harder for this Cassie to not only hit her shots, but get comfortable, because this threat is just all over the place. He is showing up at the least opportune times for Radiant.
And that's more of what I think Androxus is bringing in this particular matchup. It's not. It could be Xin. It could be Eevee. It could be anyone doing this. You just kind of pick one. Take your pick. Whichever one you like playing the most will get the job done. But because there's so much double backline, low mobility, just mid-range AR play on console, when somebody does something like this, it really throws you for a loop, because it's just a threat that you're not having to deal with in 95% of your games.
And for a pick of a map that was Radiant Esports, it seems like Cyclone have just gotten off to such a stronger start. That's got to be a little demoralizing. Convergence, it will not get any value, and they were ready to capitalize on it, but still may find a kill from Sheik, and Luke finds that kill on a slop, finally getting things going the way of Radiant.
Right, and I know this overpower is not going to be good for a kill, at least immediately.
Gotta hit it.
That's a long-range yeet. Assert dominance. Looks like it was popped, but didn't get it all the way back onto the map. I think it took the charge, too, Evan. That's not good.
Ooh, that is not good. You're right. And neither is this Dragon, man. Look at that. Already finds the value from the kill, but Scarcity sneaks in behind and gets Welshmania. So I don't think he was expecting that. Clearly, Radiant Esports have stricken a couple of blows to Cyclone, but it doesn't feel like things have shifted in their favor yet.
Big damage from the front line comes out. You can see lurking in the back line. Slopodopolis just trying to find his way to get into the deeper reaches of Serpent Beach. Up on the enemy's high ground here. Luke is too good is the main concern here. Seismic Crash might kill him outright, and Monty finishes the job.
And now Fnatic's able to play con, able to pressure out. High ground controlled by the Androxus, and there's no way for Sheik or Cassie with no vertical mobility to contest him on that. He'll show up in a second and start getting some kills. And there it is, on cue. Finds Sheik, and Cyclone take the 3rd point.
Cyclone get this one home. That's going to do it for this set. And given what we've seen so far, they look like poised to strike.
Yep.
Really, really rolling through. Faster first entire round than the point fight on Brightmar, so you can tell Cyclone definitely have that X factor. My bet's on Andro just being too different of a style of character and play. So aggressive, so much pressure coming out from a lot of different angles. Slop is really starting to run the table.
And they just don't have enough damage on the board to not only deal with Slop, but this is where Inara gets even better, because you have a window to kill Smutney, and you have to put a lot of resources into doing that. And if now you have to deal with Slopodopolis during that time, you lose that window, and Kings heals him back up to full, and now you still don't have the point fight, and Luke's in trouble. So I just love the way Cyclone has drafted. It's a real all-star lineup we talked about. These characters making each other better by the threats they all have.
Thank goodness Barricade was up and available there. That would have been a rough. Double Frost Bomb connects. Splitting Ice is the perfect talent to try and clean that up. Somebody's trying to release them from that pain. That is a nice precision overpower, but it is going to cost him his life.
Yeah, and he's going to hit the wall, I think, of the map and just go down from that. He did use the Stellar Wind, which actually makes you float a little longer than you might want to if you're trying to, you know your death is inevitable. Get back into that base counter as soon as possible. Scarcity. Oh, this is, again, a good moment where he finds Welshmania instead of actually killing the dragon. So things working out for him.
Yeah, well done there. 50 seconds now on the clock. Scarcity will lose his life for it. With the defender's advantage, he's happy to take that trade, I'm sure. He's already back up and into the fight. Fnatic's has already fallen. One more would have been good there, but Sarah squeaks away for now.
And I think this is enough damage. Oh, now look at this. Inara, he had him. Kings was one, but then in comes Slopodopolis. He's got to look at him, and then they both heal up. And now Slop is free to do what he wants, and everyone on Cyclone's alive when there were 3 members who probably could have died.
Combat healing kicks in, and now Slopodopolis can work on his next target. Convergence is not available. Seismic Crash is going to be good onto 2. Slopodopolis is allowed to move for free. For a kill, that's a big reversal. He needs his dashes back. He'll be able to walk out.
Great stuff from Kings for making sure he gets the heal right as the reversal is down, so Andro doesn't have too many windows of being vulnerable. But Sheik finds the only window left open, and that's going to give Radiant their first point in this game. Unbelievable stuff. They tooth and nail, they fought, and at least they'll have something for their troubles.
And it's not like it was really lopsided, one ultimate being spent where there was nothing to answer. Both teams kind of went in there either way. 12-3 for Slopodopoulos. 66%. I would say in general, the Cyclone ultimates are closer to being back up. Seismic Crash just came out, so barring that one's not going to be up for this fight, but everything else probably will be. Items starting to come online here. Scarcity's only able to grab the caught 2 as opposed to the 3 for Slop, 3 for Smutney, 3 for Thanatic. So if anything, those types of power spike moments are going to prove really difficult to fight into.
Nimble 3 for Kings. I don't think I've seen a Ceres with Nimble 3 nearly ever in a competitive game of Paladins on the broadcast. So a little bit of a different flavor. She's going to be a fast one. So you better not miss, because she will round the corner on you. If she didn't have a invincibility and an invisibility already to boot.
Slopodopoulos, first attempt at getting to the back line, fails. Frostbomb will scatter everyone off of the high ground, which is a good enough sort of outcome. Lucas Too Good does manage to get the 1v1 takedown Slop. Heal through the wall is going to be good on Barrick, but 48% already on the objective for Cyclone is a great start.
Close. Welsh is a little bit in trouble here. Finally gets the healing, but Scarcity and Sheik poked him back out. Splitting Ice not doing enough, and guesses wrong on the Frost Bomb. Dome Shield comes up. Radiant Esports not looking too bad. Welsh wants to get this Dragon off, but every single time he has been killed by the Cassie in the backline, and now Tapsy knows exactly where he is. What can they do? Thanatix finds a big kill on the Sheik.
1 for 1, but the support traded out for a damage dealer is definitely going to be in favor of Radiant here. You need your sustain. Big damage from the Accursed Arm. 3 of the 4 bullets connect. The Dragon is here as well. Unless there's an Assert Dominance to come out, and there isn't, no way to survive this onslaught.
Yeah, just no time. And unfortunately, that is going to do it. 99%. Look at that. He's in the back again. I can't believe it. How does he do it? Every time.
With sheer force of will and 2 thumbsticks.
Doesn't even have the scout. Like, where did he go? I mean, at least he accomplished that goal.
Yeah.
I think he made an individual goal to, if I kill her every time she uses her dragon, I win my game.
Yeah. They had scout time and space too, though. I think if they could save those ults for that moment,
that could be interesting.
That would be a really easy way to just get it, and then you don't have to dive every time and lose your life for it.
That's a great point. Well, Nick making great points. Should have put you on the desk, man. Dave and Gore, you guys have a lot to compete with now, because he just set it up for us. That's going to be the set. It goes the way of Cyclone. That's what we expected. We're going to send it back to them to break it down and get us ready for the next game.
Thank you, boys. Set number 2 comes to a close. And Gore, I think one thing that I was kind of thinking about was, they had Cassie and Through Time and Space. I feel like if they would have maybe saved those and used those at the same time, I don't know why that suddenly just came to me, but that's a really good point, I think, that I just kind of came up with.
That's some breakneck analysis, Dave. I'm really glad we have you on the desk for this. Because, that would be really good for killing, like, an Amani, I think. I think that'd be really good.
I think it would be. No,
it's a good combo right there.
Well, incredible.
I think you just broke the game.
I think we did. I think I don't know where it came from, it just kind of swirls in, comes into the last moment.
It's okay. Moments of greatness are always like that.
Even a blind squirrel finds another
divine inspiration.
Broken clock is right twice a day. Now is one of those times. Cyclone on top 3-0 over Radiant. And they just look really good, Gore. I mean, there's no two ways about it. 84K on the Imani. 555 slash line. But doing the majority of the damage in this game. And yet again, another 4-1 in this case. Radiant showing some fight time to time. Another final point fight that comes down to one team fight. And, Cyclone, they just come out on top.
I think there's 2 points to be made from this. First, it's to showcase that, Welsh Mania was doing most of the damage, and you happen to see this Andro come through and just last-hitting Slopodopoulos. Come on.
Stealing all of the kills.
I would say picking him up when it mattered most, though. Being able to kind of catch it. Because you see, where Welsh is playing versus where Slopodopoulos is. Like, they are on different sides of the planet in comparison to each other. And that's, I think, because of the fact that Slopodopoulos, one has to kind of get in their face. Welsh Mania is going to play from range. They played off of each other very well. But I'm also going to throw out, again, a props to Scarcity just for being able to continually flank as Cassie, even though it didn't really help or change anything, it was good.
And there you go. 10 wins, 0 losses, 26 plus minus, so dropping 4 maps total. I like in the pregame we're like, yeah, Cyclone have dropped a few more maps. In reality, it's 4 maps total that they've dropped. Bust down,
Not
3 wins behind them. With 2 weeks left of the PCL, that means that Cyclone have now punched their ticket and are officially on their way through to the MSI. So big congrats to them for these last 2 weeks. They're just going to be looked to, and I mentioned this in set number 1, you want to peak at the right time. You want to make sure that you're firing on all cylinders going in to the midseason invitational. They're a team that's been looking better and better week after week. Looked really good here today, but that's where their eyes need to be.
And I think a lot of what they are looking at this point is what can we improve, what can we grab that is going to make us a better team as a whole. Like, what champions do we need to look at? Andro was a very good pick right there. Do things like that in the future to be able to give yourself the versatility to be able to be like, you know what? We can do this. Like, we can take on any of the PML teams. We can take on console league teams. Like, we can be the best version of ourselves going forward.
Trending upward is what they'll look to do. That's going to do it, though, for the European side of things here in the console league. On the other side of this break, we're going to jump to North America. We have heating up. We have big money. Don't want to miss it.
Brought to you by Skillshot, Hi-Res Studios, Evil Mojo, INAP, SteelSeries,